So around to this root now. So the radial direction is here. It's pretty close, but this one starts 90 degrees, so I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. So this is a problem area. It's a big lump of congested roots. I think I should keep this one. It's quite radial. It's not bad. I'm going to take the end off it. I'm going to take the end off here. Bring these ones back. But beside it, I've got this root, which kind of snakes along, and I think this is one of the worst offending ones. It's sticking up too high, so I'm going to take this one off. Let's see what's below it. Well, I got to take this one off. It's too high. It's a cool root, but it's too high. I've got to reduce this bulge back. Otherwise, I'll always have that kind of ugly bulge. This one's too high. I've got to take it out. And then I'm wondering what to do here. You can see it's absolutely horizontal, so if I can't take it back, I've got to cut it off. Yeah, I'll have to take these back also. Very interesting. I definitely have roots below it. There's a big thick one. I could take that whole, these two roots off and see what I've got left. Bit of a gamble though. This is a big thick root on the bottom. It's an ugly root. It's not too bad. It does kind of match the other side. I think I'll have to live with that. I really do. I don't have to live with this one sticking up here though. Where was that? Right here. Yeah, I think it's okay. But I do want to reduce this big monster root on the bottom. Oh my goodness. Kind of flattening out the bottom of the root base. A root like that takes up a lot of volume of soil. Get rid of this root. This one. Yeah. So I think I'm going to carve that back to flat. You can see I'll have to take about half of it off. Big thick potato root. Okay. Well, I think the only thing I can do is just nibble away at it. Just take it back. Now it will rot away, but I'm hoping from the edges I get new roots form. So I'll be replacing a big thick potato root with some finer roots. And I'm flattening the root base out on the bottom. So it'll sit, well, it won't sit lower in the pot, but there'll be more room for soil underneath. So these big thick, roots, they form on ficus to store water, to get the trees through a drought period, but this tree hopefully won't see any drought, so it doesn't need those big thick roots as a reservoir for water. Now, one thing I should check, I did mention I wanted an angle change on the tree, so I'm going to check and see how that affects the roots. So let me just step back and have a look at that. So the front of the tree was somewhere about here, and I wanted to just angle it a bit. Yeah, so it's sitting on that big thick root and this one here. So if I can shave those away a bit, and I may, yeah, it kind of raises this side of the root base a bit. But I don't think I need much of an angle change, maybe just a few degrees like that. So, okay, so I think everything's good. I'll keep nibbling away the bottom here. That's pretty good there. Okay. So I think I'm getting close with the root base. I haven't quite gone all the way around, but I'm going to clean up, rewash the roots, and then keep root pruning. Here's a quick look at what I've taken off the root base so far. So not too much. There's been a lot of carving in that, but the actual feeder roots I haven't taken off too much compared to what's left on the tree. There's still lots. I've rewashed the root base, so here is where I'm at. So this still bothers me, this lump here. The rest of the root base flows quite nicely into the soil. It's just a little high and congested here with roots. So I'm going to have to sort that out. I'm going to get my carving tool and come in and kind of carve out a section of this root. I've got to clear up that section. It's just too thick and knotted and fused. So there's one chunk out. So I think this will really help. Otherwise, the roots of your ficus just become a big, thick, fused lump, and I hate that look on a ficus. I like them flowing with individual roots. It looks more miniature. So that helps a lot. You can see I've carved out the middle between these roots. Again, it clears up so water can get down underneath the root base a little easier. Like that. That looks good. I think that's a step in the right direction anyway. So, I still have this section of the root base to do. So this root here, the radial direction is here and it's off, so I'm going to prune this part off, even though it's a pretty good looking root. I'll just prune this side off for starters. case I decide to keep it. I mean, it's not too far off radial. There's some crossing roots I can prune off there. Hopefully I can clear this section out a bit here. There's a root I can prune off here. Helps clear that section out a bit. Yeah, I don't like the upper part of this root. It's going to come off. That helps clear up some space. Even this part of this root is a bit off radial, so I'll prune the top off it, keeping it a little more of a radial direction, like that, even more, like that. That helps. These roots are good. This one's okay, even though it's coming from the top. Maybe I should get rid of it. I got better roots below. Okay, so I've got that sorted out the best I can. I could even take this upper root off here. It helps flow it into the soil. Yeah, I think that's pretty well it for the root work. Now, that's a lot of root work. I'll trim this back a bit. Actually, I'll use these pruners. Just taking a slice off the bottom of that root to lower it even more, like that, and I'll nibble it a bit to smooth it in. And this usually, a big wound like this on the bottom, it'll callus around the edges, but usually this wood will rot, and then as it rots, new roots grow in, and it'll fix itself. Okay. I think the root work is done. Wow, that was a lot of root work. But it certainly improved the root base a lot. I think I'll be very happy with it. Just taking out some of these matted sections. Yeah, I think that's good. I've got double roots here. I'm going to take off the top one, keeping the other one, and the one on the bottom I'm going to prune back like that. Yeah, we'll see what happens in these areas. Usually, it turns out quite good. Yeah, it's a pretty good looking root base now. Okay, so next, I've got to find a pot for the tree. There's a last look at the root base. Yeah, it's pretty good looking. I looked around at all the pots I have, and I have this pot that Sophie made. She gave it to me for free, because it had a slight crack on the one foot. The foot separated just a little bit on the edge, so she wasn't happy with it. But it's a good size pot. It fits the root base like perfectly. You can see it's got room to grow. It's a little deeper than the other one, and I think it'll be good. It'll be a good pot to grow it and restore the vigor of the tree in. And then once I find, the perfect pot, I'll put it into that. So I think this will be sort of an intermediate pot to restore the health of the tree, the vigor, and then I'll look around for a suitable pot for the future. Here's a look at how it fits in the pot. So, there's lots of room for the roots to grow. Yeah, I think that'll be really good. All right, I'll put drainage screens in the bottom of the pot. I won't put one big one. I'll just put, should I put a strip across? Probably. I'll put a strip across the 3 big holes in the bottom. Like that. And then I can add a base layer of soil. And it'll take a lot of soil to fill this pot. I've got a mound of soil in the middle here, so now I can set the tree in position. So, is there a front to this pot? This pot is 3 feet, so I think I want the one fancy foot out the front. And that looks pretty good for a front of the pot right there. So I'm seeing the front. So I'm going to set the tree in position now. Adjusting the angle and the height. And I'll put it central in the pot. This is just a training pot. So make sure it's on center. That's pretty good. And then I've got to get the height and the angle. So I was going to tilt it just a little bit like that. And then I've got to set the height, so I can rotate it, setting the height of my tree. It's still too high. It's getting better. It's getting close. Very close. So I'm setting it for the height where I expose the roots just a little bit. There's the front. I could tilt it back just a bit. Like that. I think that looks better from the side. I still have a few roots sticking up here, but I can get those in the soil. And I can mound the soil up a bit, and then as the roots get established, I can rake it away. So it's better to have the tree at the right height that you would want it in the final composition. So there's the front. I think I've got to go just a little lower. That's looking good. I think I can get all the roots safely in the soil at this height. Just adjusting it a little more central in the pot. Okay, let me do the final checks now. Okay, so this is the front of the tree here. I don't think I can tilt it more vertical any. I think these roots will be too high then. Might be something for the future to adjust the angle a bit, but I could try maybe just a little more of an angle. Yeah, that looks a little better. I think that's okay. The height in the pot looks good. There's the front. And I think it looks pretty good all the way around. Yeah. Okay. I think I can fill it in. Top up my soil. Before I do that, I'll make sure all my roots are set in position. Yeah, just make sure everything's flowing as radial as I can get everything. Make sure the roots are tapering down into the soil, that they're not sticking up too high. Like this one needs to be lowered. It's going to pop up. Yeah, that's about it. So I'll put some soil on top of these roots to hold them down. If they still pop up, I'll have to put a stone on top to hold them down, but I think they'll be okay. Okay, so I'm going to fill it in with soil now. Now, I'm getting close to the final soil level. Just need a little bit more around the back. So this is the soil I'm putting on now that I can comb away in the future as the roots get established. So it's piling up a little high in the middle here. And I think that's pretty good. Yes, I think that'll do. So it is now time to water the tree. Okay, here I go with the water. Very exciting getting it watered in. I think it'll grow really well in this pot. I think it's deep enough. There's lots of soil in it. The roots have been sorted out. I have high hopes for this tree. Getting it back on track. Okay, I think that's it. I think it's watered. All that nice root work is hidden underneath the soil, but someday I'll slowly raise the tree and expose all those nice surface roots. So I think it'll really make the tree having a nice buttressed root base. So let's take one final look at the tree. I'm really happy with the root work, and I like the new planting angle and the way I pruned it up. I think it has the bones for becoming a really nice bonsai in the future. Only time will tell, and I'll keep you updated on the progress of the tree. So that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.